gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. With a nervous twitch and an anxious sort of feel about today, I'm excited to be back after such a long hiatus. And thank you so much for listening as we have our monthly mental health matters. Please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks so much for joining us. And it's truly an honor not only to sit in the seat, but to every month to have our monthly mental health matters. And I'm grateful to Dr. Alexandra Borden for facilitating. Always a great, collection of our colleagues as we sit about the table and discuss. And this month, even better because we got young students joining us from London University, as you include Sutton and Jason and Miss Jackie. Perhaps Dr. Borden, maybe do the honors as you ably every month, produce this round table.
Yeah, no, thank you so much to Radio Cayman for having us on again. We definitely have a full panel today and an exciting show. The last couple of years, we've often talked about holiday stress and how to manage it for yourself. And this year, we thought we'd shift gears a little bit, and we will go through some coping skills that can be helpful for you, but highlighting in particular difficulties that might come up during this time of year for persons who already experience mental illness or mental health concerns, whether it's anxiety and depression, substance abuse, whatever it may be, to give you, the family, friends, and loved ones, tools of being able to better support them throughout this time.
That's the thing. I think we don't recognize sometimes that, especially during the holidays, whether it's the gift planning or the buying, the shopping, the cooking, just making time to socialize, to relax. You think it should be easy. Ms. Huttenberg, from that perspective.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on, as always. It's nice to be back. It's not easy during this time, and I think the common misconception is this is an exciting time for everyone, and for a lot of people it's not. It's a scary time, and it's a stressful time. It brings on a real big feeling of unease, and I think what I'd like to focus on today is like the planning of it and the preparation of it and the managing of everything that comes up.
Jason almost seems like that song is beginning to look a lot like stress. I don't know how I'm going to manage. I mean, but that's what it is, right? The traffic gets worse. It doesn't matter whether you're in Cayman or Cancun, whether you're in China or California. The traffic gets worse. The shopping and the thing, it's Black Friday almost all around. And people are looking for something just to say, hey, I remember you, I love you, thanks. But then they worry about it come January or come December 26th. Tricks of the trade?
Put your credit card in the freezer. But no, seriously, it is kind of a stressful time and a rough time, and worked with a lot of families over a lot of Christmases and had my own experiences for sure. And as Sutton said, it's this time when we're expected to be happy and joyous and free, and that's not always the case. Oftentimes it's not the case, actually. And there's a lot of emotions and memories and stressful moments. There's a lot of commercialism that's brought into the holiday, and we kind of get out of perspective sometimes, and we think that money and shopping is going to be what brings us happiness or bring others happiness or shows our love, and it's hard not to get caught up in it sometimes. And yeah, it can have some real negative effects come the new year, and it really doesn't fill the void, actually.
Ms. Jackie, he says it doesn't fill the void.
He touched on something that is real for me, the memories, thinking back to before 14 years ago when my son got sick, that how easy it was for him to interact socially, how easy it was to have everybody over for Christmas, because we do a lot of that. We cook and invite the entire family over. Now it is, you have to be careful who you invite, because not everybody understands, and you have to be careful that you invite at the right time, because I can't do it on Christmas Day. It's just too much for him. So we have to work around those things. And then as a family, it's hard for us as well, because we want to get together, but we can't, because we have to put limitations on things that we do.
If I may, I just say that I'm very happy to have Miss Jackie here today. She runs Loud Silent Voices at the hospital, which is a support group for families of persons with mental illness. And so, Miss Jackie, if you'd even just share a little bit more about Loud Silent Voices and what you're doing, if that's okay.
No. I can't see that. That's the way she's here.
Right. So we support caregivers of persons affected by mental illness. And as easy as that sounds, it's very hard to get everybody together, because you for the holidays, for instance, you want somebody to come over and say, I'll sit with your son for a half day so that you can go out. But a lot of people don't want to do that because they're scared. And we know that they're not always violent. They're hardly ever violent. And then again, the persons that would do it, the persons that understand, have their own issues dealing with, their own adult kids dealing with, that they wish somebody would come in and sit with them. So we try to reach out to as many parents as we can by referrals, to get them involved in our monthly meetings, just to come and talk and share, bounce ideas off each other, bounce things off each other, what works for you, what doesn't work for me, what works for your child, and try to give people support in that way. We are not yet formally registered, and I'm pleading with government to please approve our application. It's been sitting there 2 years now, so we can't do any fundraising, but we are very active, and we help people from our pockets, which is not always feasible, but we try to give the moral support and the emotional support more than anything else right now.
All right, well, it is
we meet once a month, the last Tuesday of every month, at the conference room at the hospital at 6 p.m.
Right. I was going to ask you to remind us of the meetings, because it's helpful, as you said, not just the caregivers, not just those who, but we need to start. And this is one of the reasons why I'm always grateful to Dr. Borden for reaching out to her colleagues to join us on this panel discussion. The notion that we're looking at mental health from, this perspective, and hopefully dispelling the myths. Dr. Borden, through you, if I might invite our students to join us from London University. We have, Wendy. We also have Jenny and Sophie. As you wish, share. You can, observe and listen. You can contribute. You're an equal participant. So, perhaps, Miss Wendy, maybe we start with you first. Good afternoon.
Thank you very much for having us. We're very, very happy to be here, and we are, as they said previously, here all the way from Sweden. So not only are we celebrating our first Christmas without any snow, we're also celebrating my first at least, Christmas without my family. And that's something kind of similar to this subject as well, that I wanted to address alone, being alone for Christmas. So hopefully we can get more into that later.
Yes, definitely.
A lot of people, I think, are in your boat on this island, with so many expats and people coming here to work without their families. Their families so far away. So lots of people will benefit from that.
Indeed. Miss Jenny?
Yeah, thank you for having us. And I agree with you, Wendy. It's my first Christmas away from my family as well. So yeah, it's pretty rough. Yeah,
we'll make it as best as we can. And that's the thing.
Thank you.
Whether it's snow or it's the missing of the sand.
White sand.
Yeah. That's true.
So we'll find a way. What about you, Miss Sophie? Would you, if you so inclined, welcome. Good afternoon to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us. It's a pleasure to be here. It's not the same here, but in Sweden we also talk about, we have the issue that it gets very dark in the wintertime. And I've also noticed that it gets a little bit darker here earlier, and that can also affect you as a person. So I thought it would be nice to bring up how does darkness and changes does with you in the times when you're supposed to be happy and cheerful, and then you just feel like drained because you like lost energy. So I think that's also a subject maybe we could like talk about for Christmas.
You know, it's interesting. I was just speaking to a friend, and he was reminding me that a couple of Februaries ago, where he lives, there's probably snow every day of the year, I think. And February in particular seems to be dark and dreary, and he recalls a couple of years ago where he just hopped on a plane. He didn't care where it was going as long as it was south in his mind, just to find some rays of sunshine. And he said when he got there and he felt it, it was different. It wasn't only that he was warm physically, but he was rejuvenated in a sense. And we were chatting about it, and he shared some insights that maybe I'll pass along, because I think your point, Sophie, the idea that we take sunshine for granted, we live here. I'm guilty of it. I hide from the sun every day, as you can see. But it's good for you.
That's definitely a coping mechanism, right? Is like being in nature. Just such a good thing for our mental health, for our physical health, and planning being in Cayman on Christmas on the beach. I mean, there's nothing like that in the entire world, and what that does after you leave and how good you feel. And I know so many people live here and never go to the beach, and we see it. And now, unfortunately, driving along West Bay Road, you can barely see the beach.
There's a beach there.
But it's right there. It's 2 minutes away from wherever you are, and so really, I don't know. That's just a side note, but making that plan to like go to the beach no matter what on Christmas Eve, whenever those days are when we're feeling like it's going to be the hardest, just go to the beach and sit on the sand and put your feet in the water, and
listen to the waves.
Oh, goodness.
And you can build a snowman from a sandman.
Lots of people do.
They've done it.
Yeah, good to know.
We should go now and check it out. Something that he said, and if I may, just maybe take a side. He said, his children had done an experiment where they're in school, and it wasn't a bean, but that's how I remember it. You take the plant and you put it in the cupboard somewhere about it, and it finds its way to the sunlight. He said when he took his trip, he got outside in the sun and he was energized. He said it was as if he had taken a shot of one of those, aluminum can-filled drinks of something. Is that mental or physical? He was the sunshine after a short period.
Yeah.
He actually was physical energized.
I would say it's both. The sunlight, so it's one that we often talk about. The sunlight helps to reset our circadian rhythms. So it helps to wake our bodies up physically, which will also help us then to sleep better later on in the next day. So especially the morning sunlight is really good. It also gives us vitamin D. So in that way it helps to boost our mood as well. So and you're taking time for yourself. Right? Slowing down to be in nature brings a lot of good things as well emotionally to help ground us as well. So it's mental and physical. We can't actually separate those.
All right. Well, when we come back from our break, we want to invite our listeners, if you want to join us, 949-8037. That's the number, right, Dr. Bodden? I think it was. I should consult my notes.
Facebook, Dr. Alexandra Bodden.
All right. Or 1-800-534-TALK, which is 1-800-534-8255. You can call, share your thoughts with us. It is our monthly Mental Health Matters. The holidays are coming up. I'm looking forward to a lot of food, but then do we want to overeat? A lot of fellowship, but do we want to become taxed and tired and can't enjoy it and stressed and so much that we don't know? How do we deal with some of these issues? Well, we don't have all the answers, but we have 99.9%. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
I didn't mean to hurt her. Work was tough. We're struggling financially. I had a few drinks to relax, but then the argument started. It was a mistake to hit her. Now I don't have a job. I don't have a wife. I can't afford to feed my family. This was a hard lesson to learn. Never forget that walking away from something unhealthy is brave. Stop to slap. Stop to cycle. Stop the violence.
The Stop the Slap campaign has been proudly sponsored by Cayman National Bank. Stop the slap. Stop the cycle. Stop the violence.
It's more than what we do. It's who we are. We were your official bank of the quincentennial celebrations in 2003. We were your Bank of the Year 4 times. We were voted as the inaugural top employer in 2010. We were the inaugural Business of the Year awardee in 2017. Who are we? We are Cayman National, your local bank, proudly serving you for over 40 years. It's because of you that our journey continues.
CUC advises customers in West Bay that they will experience interruptions to their electrical service for no more than 2 20-minute periods on Tuesday, December 4th between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. Customers on Hell Road between the junction with Watercourse Road and Hell Gift Shop and all side roads should note that they will be without electrical service for the entire period between 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Areas affected on Hell Road include Bonfire Close, Caboose Lane, Miss Daisy Lane, and all side roads. Motorists are asked to drive with caution when utilizing Hell Road and Watercourse Road, as CUC will have a number of vehicles and personnel in this area. CUC apologizes for this interruption, which is necessary to allow telecommunication companies to provide customers with fiber optic service and our customers with safe, reliable, and efficient power. For more information on the outage and areas and streets affected, please contact CUC's customer service team at 949-5200 or email service@cuc.ky.
Hello, I'm Arthur Ebanks.
And I'm Angela Ebanks, owners of Savannah Pharmacy.
On behalf of the entire Savannah Pharmacy family, we would like to wish all of our Cayman families a very Merry Christmas and safe and prosperous New Year.
Remember, we're always just around the corner in Countryside Shopping Village with everything your family needs this holiday season.
We look forward to continuing to serve you and your loved ones throughout 2019.
I am worried about my employees' health insurance. Are there any companies out there that I can rely on for great coverage, affordable payments, and who will work to make the switch as easy as possible? Or am I asking for too much?
You sound like you need Fidelity Health. At Fidelity, they offer great coverage through a highly rated and trusted carrier, payments I can afford, and with no on-island deductible on all the plans they offer. Best of all, they offered my company 50% back on the first month's premium.
This is too important. Today's the day I am switching to Fidelity Health.
Make the easy switch to Fidelity today and get 50% cash back on your first month's premium until December 31st. Call 949-7822 to make your switch now.
Attention, please.
Hi, this is Paulette, Deputy Director at Radio Cayman. From my family to yours, I just want to say, may lovely, happy times decorate your holiday season. May warm, special memories brighten your new year. May the wonder of Christmas be with you forever. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today. Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today, and thanks for joining us. It is our monthly mental health matters, and I'm really honored to be able to facilitate, especially this discussion. Mental health is, of absolute crucial importance to all of us, and maybe as we dispel the myths about what mental health is, as we start to recognize that an attempt at a joke that I always try. A buddy of mine, he came to Cayman and looked around and said, "What? Not everybody here has a therapist. Where he's from, even his pet has a therapist. He has a plant therapist. Somebody to be able to talk to who's professional and confidential, who you can go to and get some guidance and maybe just offload in a proper setting." So, Ms. Suttonberg from Infinite Mind Care, together with Jason Jones over at Hope, right?
Mm-hmm.
Loud Southern Voices at the HSA, Miss Jackie Neal, and of course the wonderful Dr. Alexandra Borden, together with 3 students from London University, spending their first, Swedish Christmas with us. What do you think? It's not bad, huh?
No.
No.
It's going to be lovely.
It's going to be?
Oh, yeah.
You sure?
Yeah, I've been in the Caribbean before and celebrate Christmas. It's nice.
but this is not the Caribbean.
Yeah.
This is different.
This is the other Caribbean.
Yeah, okay.
No.
Yeah, I guess maybe Costa Rica doesn't count.
No.
Yeah. Nothing like this.
But I
Still
actually...
find tamales sometimes, though.
But that's the thing, though, and I was thinking of that, and thank you, Ms. Sophie, for playing along, because I believe what was said earlier, as Wendy shared, we are often, willing to take for granted what Christmas is, and we get caught up in. With the greatest respect, whether it's in our religious services, we're told, it's, the reason for the season is not about the presents, it's about the people and this. But yet, for many of us, we still want that material thing. We still want to be able to spend time, but then the stress of getting the material thing, the stress of making time to spend time. Miss Sutton, you said it earlier. It's not easy. She said, "No, girlfriend."
One of the, as you speak, there's a video that went viral from Charlotte, North Carolina, and it was a great video of a family opening presents, and it's they're turning on. There's a bow on the faucet, so as they turn on the water, the dad's like, "Oh my goodness, we have water!" And his clothes have bows on them. Everything that they have in their house, electricity, water, their clothes, his car. He gets really excited about the fact that his kids are right there and healthy. Oh my goodness, my children are here. And it was the greatest video about gratitude and about being satisfied with what we already have. So I think for me, it's like two things: satisfaction and gratitude for the things that we already have, our possessions that are already there that we might take for granted, and then just like life satisfaction, being grateful to be alive. And it was a really good reminder for what the holiday season could be about, and how to go about that, and just reminding ourselves is another coping mechanism on how we get by.
For some people, that could be a process. I never thought about those things before. It was about the materialism and the partying and the getting together. Now I'm just, and I had such great expectations when my son first got sick that, by 5 years he's going to be well and he's going to be back to normal. And now I'm just grateful that he's alive. I'm just grateful that he has a good day, that he can laugh, that he can smile, that he remembers things from before and wants to be a part of the family. So yes, for some people it's instant, and some people it takes a time. It takes something to wake them up to that gratitude.
It's those things that we so often forget about, and we're so used to being around all the time that we forget. But then when those things look like they're taken away or aren't there, then it's when you can really see it, that reminder. And other families, there's so many. The internet is the greatest thing in this aspect. But you see these other videos of or talks about people who might not have enough. This is the stressor, right? What do you do if I don't have money? How do I buy presents? And so often I hear from people that they just spend even when they don't have the money. But when you only have a little bit and you can really budget that, what do you do with that money? Maybe you can buy gifts to give to donate to charity.
Right.
And another well-researched coping mechanism on how we make ourselves happy is by giving to others, by doing charitable acts. And there's nothing like that when you can give to someone who has less than you do, even when you have nothing.
Right.
That's the thing. I mean, it says better to give than to receive. That's why I've always been a recipient, so you all can be blessed.
Well, getting your family involved too. So sometimes we feel we don't want to hurt our loved ones. We don't want to hurt our children. We want to give them because they like getting presents. But if you involve them and you're open and honest with the budget and where we're at, and get the kids involved, even young ones, 4 or 5 years old. Taking that little bit of money, buying a gift for another child,
someone else, right.
For someone else or another family in need, or cooking a meal for them, and then doing it all together as a family. Yeah. There's nothing like that as we're talking about the sunshine to recharge and give you energy. There's nothing like that, giving to get that energy as well.
And you can give time as well. Even if money is not available. That's another way of helping out, especially right now there's so many charitable organizations going on.
Right.
And
now, if I may ask, though, with great respect, Jason, I looked around the room, and I think it's only two of us. As fathers, right? with societies, perhaps this one, unlike others, maybe more so, I don't know, men are called to be protectors and providers. Points are very valid. We're all grateful for, the roofs over our heads, the running water, the electricity, the warmth, the health. No question, we're all grateful. But even when we have a bounty, we have a lot. I'm thinking I may ask the students something in a second, but we'll see, because I want to be very, very respectful. But as fathers, Christmas Day, you could have all these things, but there's a part of us that says, I want to put something under the tree. Maybe sneak something in the room and, they open up one present or 1,000 presents, whether it's the 16-year-old for her graduation or it's the 10-year-old, whatever. We want to do something like that. How do we balance that, given what certain shared that we don't always have that material thing, that financial ability, but we still want to?
Well, I guess the first thing is I always challenge this gender idea of, the man being the provider and the, and unemotional and, not, those kinds of things. I know so many children that I work with that their fathers are so busy working that they would rather just see them and spend time with them than get anything material from them. Children need their father's love and support and attention and affection. Do a hobby with, whatever. So I challenge all the men out there that think with their wallets to go like one step further and really just think like, what would you want from your dad, when you were younger? You probably wished he was there more. You probably wished that he would have said, I love you, or gave you a hug or something like that.
Spend that time, as someone said. Right? Yeah. Not the material thing, but the physical presence.
So I've been challenged at times where I haven't had money to do things that I would like to buy presents for, and I think outside the box, and I do up little coupon books of things that they get to spend time with me and do something or do this or and those things. I do up my own cards. Instead of Hallmark, I call it Jones Mark, and I do them up, and on the back where it says price, I say priceless, and I put pictures in from memories and stuff, and and those cards mean way more than a $5 or $6 card that you can buy at a store.
Right. Again, not to monopolize you specifically, but and I couldn't have asked you, to answer it even better if I gave you the script. But as expected, I think too many times, with the greatest men in this part of in the Caribbean in particular, we believe that we have to be this thing, and Miss Jackie is shaking her head. We know what it is like. But whether it's a 6-year-old or a 16-year-old, or even the young adult who may himself be a father, taking time to spend with him, whatever that activity is, once it's it's safe for both of you. Your view as a father to that son, irrespective of the age of that son or daughter, but the son in particular, invaluable. That time.
There, as you talk, Jason, I'm thinking of giving cards, and we often for a lot of people it's just like love always or love, and then you sign your name. But there's nothing like getting a card with an expression of real love where you really express and communicate your thoughts about someone. And to me, that's the most valuable gift that I ever get. And my family, my grandma and dad and mom are big card writers where it's, on every single page and the back. And those are the things that I save. Even the gifts, you think about gifts that you've gotten throughout the years, and those are gone. But those kind of cards, those coupon books, are what people hold on to because that's the expression of love. That's the reminder of who someone is for you. And it's those things that really help us. So when we have no money to buy something, how do we communicate? And that's the other, big coping mechanism we're always preaching and therapy is communication. It's how do we communicate our love to someone? And it's the material things doesn't come across totally. That gets forgotten. But those kind of gifts that you're talking about, that's really powerful.
All right, so when we come back from the break, if our students are, so inclined, you feel late, share with us this idea that you're going to be away, whether it's the first time, whether it's, happened in the past, whether it's because of a career choice or it's just an opportunity. You're away. Those things that are important, the early setting of the sun and lack of sunshine, whether it's the, snow versus sand, or whether it's not that, available, particular food that you like, different things that, make you realize what you have. Give us a perspective. All right.
Yeah, I think that we're trying to bring some of the things we have back in Sweden with us here for Christmas, so we feel more like home, basically. And I was thinking when the son talked about the cards, back in my family we have a tradition of writing Christmas rhymes for every gift, and I keep the rhymes to the presents, but the presents, they get used, they disappear, but the rhymes, I still have them with me. So that's one tradition that I really would like to bring over when we celebrate our Christmas here.
Yeah, and we decided to do Secret Santa, and so we're trying to make it fun and keeping the traditions alive, even though we're not home.
You know, and that's the thing. As we listen to that, Jackie, maybe we talk more about that, because it's not unlike the seafarers of the day who were away. You know, they were not important somewhere at sea. You know, what can you do so you're reminded of what's important? All right, for those who are listening, it's 949-8037 if you want to call. When you come back, more talk today.
Bransour's Home Gallery has been appointed the exclusive Cayman supplier for Duravit bathroom products. Duravit is the leading international manufacturer of bathroom ceramics, tubs, and showers, recognized around the world for beautiful, functional products. Winner of top industry awards, Duravit collaborates with leading European designers to provide the most elegant and innovative bath products. If you're ready to bring style, comfort, and innovation to your bathroom, visit Bransour's Home Gallery to see the new Duravit showroom and meet the in-house bath designer. Whether you're planning a functional family bathroom or a personal spa retreat, browse the Duravit collection and be inspired. Bransour's Home Gallery, delivering a new standard in custom designed bathrooms. Bransour's Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park.
Retain your peace of mind by installing a reliable generator, knowing that your family is safe and secure during a power outage. At Corporate Electric, we care about the well-being of our customers and their loved ones. We are the official distributor of Kohler SDMO generators in the Cayman Islands and can conduct a free assessment of your house to suggest the perfect fit. Call us at 946-2277. Visit our website or the Facebook page for more details.
Do you like fries?
Well, duh.
What about chicken?
Of course.
Pretzels?
Love them.
Then you better sit down for this.
Burger King pretzel chicken fries are now in Cayman. Delicious white meat chicken fries served up in a crispy breaded pretzel batter. Grab a box of 9 for just $4.85 or make it a combo for $7.70. Pretzel chicken fries, only available for a limited time and only available at Burger King. 7 Mile Beach, Waterfront, Town Center, Walker's Road, and Red Bay.
Give me the green light.
The Proud of Them Youth Recognition Program is accepting nominations. Now in its 10th round, the award recognizes 12 outstanding young people between the ages of 10 and 25 for their achievements in academics, careers, business, sports, culture, or community work. Nominate your choice for the prestigious Proud of Them Award by visiting www.gov.ky. Submissions must be received by Friday, December 7th. This message was brought to you by the Ministry of Education, Youth, Sports, Agriculture, and Lands in partnership with the National Youth Commission.
Business owners and marketing managers, did you know that during the holidays, 1 in every 3 persons in Cayman search findyellow.com? Get more visibility for your business with Yellow's special Christmas advertising package. Contact our advertising consultants at 949-7027 or visit findyellow.com to find out more. Yellow, we know Cayman.
I didn't mean to hurt her. Work was tough. We're struggling financially. I had a few drinks to relax, but then the argument started. It was a mistake to hit her. Now I don't have a job. I don't have a wife. I can't afford to feed my family. This was a hard lesson to learn. Never forget that walking away from something unhealthy is brave. Stop the slap. Stop the cycle. Stop the violence.
The Stop the Slap campaign, proudly sponsored by Foster's IGA. Stop the slap. Stop the cycle. Stop the violence.
Who's the leader in savings?
It's Frosters.
When it comes to cooking for Christmas parties and baking sweet treats for the kids, there are some people who just get it and some people who just get lost. For those who get lost, let Tanya's Kitchen and Foster's IGA help. Tanya's deliciously easy recipes will wow your guests and leave you as famous as that one reindeer. Visit tanyaskitchen.ky for tons of delicious Christmas recipes and treats. And stop by your local Foster's IGA for all of the ingredients.
At Foster's Food Fair IGA, we care.
South Coast Bar and Grill up in Breakers, man, that is the place. For traditional Cayman cuisine, oh, you will love the taste. At South Coast Bar and Grill, we got conch and lobster and turtle stew. And every Sunday, come out with your family for the barbecue.
South Coast Bar and Grill by the seaside, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. daily, lunch and dinner. Call us at 947-2517.
For Cayman and cuisine, the talk today is South Coast Bar and Grill.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thanks for joining us for our monthly Mental Health Matters. And Dr. Alexandra Borden, together with Sutton Burke, Mr. Jason Jones, Ms. Jackie Neal, and 3 of our students from London University. We have Wendy together with Jenny and Sophie. And I think as I was just listening and processing, and sometimes, I don't know about other men, but I'm able to even think and talk at the same time and maybe write down things. It's getting better. The mental capacity has improved.
Everything gets better with practice.
Is that what it is? But as we look at Christmas, I know some would say the holiday season, whether it started a few weeks ago with some of us getting festive because we're celebrating with friends and family from other cultures and nationalities, whether we're starting to look at it because the weather is changing and we're starting to, hey, that feels good. Yeah. Maybe it's getting close to year end.
Yeah.
Dr. Watton?
Well, and I'm glad you guys mentioned the change in weather as well, because sometimes, I find a lot of times clients, their body will react to changes, right? The holidays have, as we've talked about, very high expectations that come with it that often increase stress in everyone. So persons who already deal with something like anxiety, who work to manage it on a daily basis, the holidays add in a whole lot of extra stressors for them that can really exacerbate whatever difficulties they've been having. The crowds, having to go into places. A lot of clients, it's hard even to go to the supermarket on a Saturday, but now everywhere is crowded. Having to plan time for everything, that everything is taking longer. A lot of times with clients, we'll work to build a routine for them. The holidays, with all the expectations, also include a change of routine. More noise. There's been fireworks every night. And things like that can really be triggering to someone who has anxiety. Depression is also something that comes up, whether you're someone who struggles with depression on a day-to-day basis. The expectations of the time, the energy, the commitments to others can be overwhelming. But also, a lot of times with this comes a lot of things like we talked about, family traditions. If this is going to be the first Christmas alone without family because you're physically away from them, or if you've had a recent loss. It's different when you don't have, your grandma there at the Christmas dinner, or your uncle's not there to tell his jokes. It's a much different feeling, which requires some preparation and some anticipation. As I said, a lot of times our bodies respond before we're feeling off and we don't know why. But our body knows it's that time of year. Even, with the cooler weather, the shorter days, the body responds. And so I think it's important to be aware of this, to acknowledge it, and then we're able to make a plan for it. Planning is going to be key in preparing for the holiday season, as Ms. Sutton had said. Yeah, so just be mindful, as Ms. Jackie had said as well, of what may be going on for friends and family. It may be frustrating when we're trying to get through all of our errands and trying to meet all of our expectations. We may have a family or a family member or a friend who's having extra difficulties throughout this time. Just to be mindful of what they may be going through and making some additional allowances for them. So in planning better for ourselves, but also in talking to them and having them help with planning as well.
So sense of inclusion, whether we invite over that neighbour just moved in, the co-worker that just joined our team, or that person that, it may not have been a recent loss, but for some reason something is triggered, as Sutton says.
Well, substance abuse as well is one we're going to talk about. And, of course, New Year's Eve is one of the biggest drinking holidays ever. So that is huge through the holidays. It's also a way of coping with the family members we don't like. So that are more difficult to get along with. Apologies.
And I think one way that family and friends can be mindful that and just conscious about is one, of course, inviting them over in reaching out. How are you? What's going on? And not just how are you, but, what's going on? Like, when am I going to see you? But also when you are inviting those people over and there is a party going on, and, my focus is always going to be on substance abuse because we have our substance abuse program. If someone is not drinking or if someone's not partaking in something or eating the food, or don't push it. Yeah. Right. And something, don't ask about it, or that's something that always comes up around this time is, pushing food or pushing alcohol on someone and calling it out. And that's something that people who are struggling are so worried about when they go out, that, the support to see someone doing well is what they need.
Yeah, and I'd say let them know as well. If there is going to be alcohol at the party, that they're fresh in recovery, let them know. And then they can decide whether they come to the party, if they limit their time, or if you guys meet up at another time. If it's someone who's really having a hard time with crowds right now, maybe you guys do something one-on-one later. So being flexible and being open, but talking to the person. So don't just use these as blanket recommendations either.
Yeah, someone's struggling as well. It would be great for you with family and friends to also tell them that you're struggling and really communicate that, which is so hard because it's having us be vulnerable, and no one wants to be vulnerable. True. But so important to just share, and people are more understanding. So to say, hey, I'm coming to your party, I'm not going to drink. That's one thing that someone in recovery can do. I'm sorry, I'm just switching right to substance.
Perfect.
To tell them that you're not going to drink. Also to have that plan, to have that buddy system, to go to the party, so like there is going to be alcohol around. Okay, I have a sober friend with me, or I have my friend who supports me, so that's okay. If I want to leave early, I can always just slip out the back door, and it won't be a big deal.
One thing you touched on, either you or Dr. Bodden, about inclusion. I asked my daughter when I was coming here, so what do you want me to tell people? And she said, just include them. Just let them feel as if they're a part of the family, as if they're a part of the group, without overwhelming them. Don't pressure them to feel as if they have to participate in anything, but just let them know that you're a part of us. You're here. Reach out, call, send a text, send a card, something like that. My son isn't here for the Christmas, and he was supposed to come, and he said he doesn't want to, and we're really feeling the effects of that. We're not even doing anything as a family because he's not going to be here.
I love that recommendation, because oftentimes loved ones and friends of people suffering, they don't know what to say or do. It's just like when someone passes away and they're grieving, and you don't want to hurt them more, so you don't say anything. But it's so important to include and just reach out, and if they want to say no, they say no, but at least they know that you tried, that you cared, and that you're wanted. Yeah. And just knowing that is uplifting. So it really, and that
helps the family members too, because I know many times I thought that people just didn't want to include him in things, but it's because they didn't understand too a lot of the times. And now that they do, now that I've educated a lot of my family and friends, they do include. He'll say no sometimes, or he'll not reach back out when you reach out, but they start to include, and it makes him feel a part of everything that is still happening.
If I may ask, and perhaps Sophie, if you that thought process. Here we are, your experience and expertise, your travel, the notion that we're about communication, as Sutton and Dr. Bodden share. Sometimes it's hard because we don't want to be vulnerable, we don't want to expose some of those little things, but we just want to be left alone. Right? And other times, well, why can't you understand what I'm feeling and thinking and saying? And the youthful ones like us, how do we get that to that point where we get people to appreciate our perspective?
Wow. I think like as a person in general, like you need to be like you need to like be sensitive to like what people around you are feeling. Like when we talk about alcohol, especially, like alcohol is like a big thing for Christmas, like for holidays or Christmas in general. Like eat food, you have drinks, And if you don't want to drink, maybe it can be hard to say no, like I don't want to. So as you can do as a person, maybe you can offer some alcoholic-free drinks and make them look the same as the other drinks. Then you don't have to be excluded. Then you look like everybody else. There can be small things like that. And for me, I don't think holidays and spending time together must be about alcohol. You can also actually do other things. In Sweden, maybe I should go out ice skating. I don't really do that here, but I can go to the beach. We can have a nice barbecue by the beach or stuff like that, and don't bring alcohol to include everybody. But yeah, I'm not sure if I answered your question.
No, you did.
Something that I want to say that you had mentioned before is when you're feeling like you just want to be left alone. And when you have that feeling, that's not bad, but that is a sign that you must not be alone. Right? So sometimes we deserve our self-care and our own time, and whether that's taking a short nap or going to the beach by ourselves or meditating or going to yoga or just doing our own thing or allowing ourselves 30 minutes of TV or music or whatever it is what we want. But when we really have that feeling, oh gosh, I just want to be by myself, I don't want to do anything, that's the time we need to make a plan. And again, just the main theme of all of this is really just managing our time and managing our feelings and the coming up stressors. And one of those things is when I get triggered or when I have that thought, what am I going to do? So I really feel like I want to be alone. Who can I talk to right now? Where can I go, or what can I do for myself just to lift my spirits? Because as soon as we start to have that thought, I want to be alone, that's the downhill terrible cycle of going into misery and deeper depression, when we start to isolate.
Yeah, and that goes back to what you said earlier about letting ourselves be vulnerable, and that it's okay to seek help, to seek support from someone else.
Good. Well, let's talk. Sorry, Miss Jackie. Miss Jackie, sorry, just let me, because you see the boss over there? Okay. Yeah. We got news to take, and you got to take it easy on me. It's my first day of PAC. Jeez. All right, we're going to take our news break. When we come back, you want to hear what Ms. Jackie has to share? Well, you better rejoin us on the other points as we look at, managing the stressors during the holiday season. Please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman. Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
The Cayman Airline Pilot Association issued a statement expressing a, quote, high level of confidence in the Boeing 737 MAX, responding to concerns about the crash of Lion Air Flight 610, 13 minutes after taking off, killing all 189 people on board. The Pilots Association says it has been intentionally quiet, waiting for the preliminary reports. Having reviewed the information, CAPA says it is confident in the safety of the aircraft. The statement also notes pilots have recently completed training on the MAX, which exceeded the requirement of the FAA and assured the traveling public that safety is the highest priority when operating any aircraft. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines and news elsewhere. The nationalist Sir David Attenborough has said climate change is humanity's greatest threat in thousands of years. The broadcaster said it could lead to the collapse of civilizations and the extinction of much of the natural world. He was speaking at the opening ceremony of the United Nations-sponsored climate talks in Katowice, Poland. The meeting is the most critical on climate change since the 2015 Paris Agreement. A collection of gold coins believed to have been hidden 900 years ago has been discovered by archaeologists in the ancient Israeli port city of Caesarea. The rare cache was found along with a single gold earring in a bronze pot between stones in the side of a well. The hoard of 24 coins appears to have been hidden by someone who hoped to retrieve it but never returned. And tourism, food security, manufacturing, logistics and renewable energy have been identified as high potential areas where companies in the UAE and Caribbean region can expand economic cooperation. That's according to a new analysis from Dubai Chamber of Commerce and Industry. The findings released on the sidelines of the first UAE Caribbean Cooperation Forum in Dubai revealed that the value of non-oil trade between Dubai and Caribbean countries totaled $273 million in 2017. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands. What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.kayman.fm www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
I am worried about my employees' health insurance. Are there any companies out there that I can rely on for great coverage, affordable payments, and who will work to make the switch as easy as possible? Or am I asking for too much?
You sound like you need Fidelity Health. At Fidelity, they offer great coverage through a highly rated and trusted carrier, payments I can afford, and with no on-island deductible on all the plans they offer. Best of all, they offered my company 50% back on the first month's premium.
This is too important. Today's the day I am switching to Fidelity Health.
Make the easy switch to Fidelity today and get 50% cash back on your first month's premium until December 31st. Call 949-7822 to make your switch now.
A visionary leader, an outstanding educator, and a man of standard.
Join the UCCI community as we celebrate the achievements of and bid farewell to President J.A. Roy Bodden, who is retiring after 9 years of dedicated service to the institution. Be a part of the historic event on Monday, December 3rd, 6 p.m. in the Sir Vassal Johnson Hall. Refreshments will be served.
A man of standard.
Matt Brown and Rita Estevanovich star in the Cayman Christmas Comedy Show. A gift from the CNCF to you. Yay! Christmas Comedy Show. I am excited.
Well, I don't want to see it.
Too bad. You're in it.
Me in a show?
It's the bestest, most festivus Christmas show ever. Coming to your district between December 11th to 16th. Visit Facebook/Cayman Culture for all the details. Yes, I am going. Definitely I am going.
Honey, our fridge has stopped working again. Everything in the freezer is melting. We need to get this repaired right away. I'm calling Brand Source Service.
When you need the very best appliance service, call Brand Source Service at 623-5000. Offering service and installation of all brands and models of appliances. Brand Source Service is Cayman's source for appliance parts and repairs with qualified and experienced technicians and the island's largest stock of appliance parts. Brand Source Service will have your repair completed in a flash. So, whatever the problem is, call the experts at 623-5000. Brand Source Service, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park. Telephone 623-5000.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Welcome back to Talk Today. Thanks for joining us. And honestly, as we do our best to not just entertain you, but hopefully inform and involve and include you in our discussion for our monthly mental health matters, we're going into Christmas. And I know some of my friends are envying me that they're stuck in that financial world where they have end of the year reports and they're worried about not just the bonuses, but are they going to be able to get all the things done. And then there are those who are working and having to balance family and home. Well, don't forget, we have wonderful resources with our counselors in our, small but wonderful community, right? People like Ms. Suttonberg and Dr. Bodden. Mm-hmm. And as we go into discussion, perhaps remind people that it's important. There's no shame. In fact, it's a demonstration of strength if you reach out to someone and say, listen, I just need, maybe 1 hour a week or whatever it is in order to get a sense of grounding.
Yeah.
It helps.
Absolutely. And I think the biggest thing in Cayman that I like to stress is confidentiality.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be talking to so I know I'm related to a lot of people on island. I don't counsel family, which is why I have great colleagues. But it's the confidentiality. It's being able to talk to someone who's not invested in the situation, who's going to be on your side and help you take a more balanced perspective of looking at things. A person that you can vent to and be completely honest with your opinions, who will help you to work through it on your own. That's why I tell them, when I start working with someone, I'm on their team, and I'm there to help them work through what's going on. I don't give them answers, but help them find the right answers for them. And that's where I think therapy can be really helpful. On Island, we're blessed to have many resources. Here today, we've got On Course Cayman, Infinite Mind Care, Hope Academy Clinical Services represented, Miss Jackie from Loud Silent Voices, which is a free service available through HSA. We've got the Lund University students here who are actually representing a lot of the local services from Family Resource Center, which does a lot of work with co-parenting, parenting sessions, young parents program. We have the Counseling Center, who provides free services to anyone in Cayman. That's available at 949-8789, as well as Taya Lounge and the Crisis Center. Domestic violence is also something that goes up throughout the holidays, and they're always available, 943-2422. So there's a lot of support here, a lot of services available.
And I'm hopeful as people listening that they don't, look at it in a sense of stigma. And maybe it's just a talk. Maybe there's something more, but start a conversation, right, Ms. Sutton? Because it's important. You want to be able to enjoy it, but you want to be around for a long time to talk about it as well. Ms. Jackie, just before the break, you want to share some things with us as well.
I was touching on what Sutton said about
that's not good. Sutton says
being alone. Being alone. I'll let her take it.
I wanted to make a distinction about that because I said when you have that desire to, I just want to be alone, that's the time when we want to reach out. And I wanted to distinguish that there's two different ways to look at that. There's I want to be alone because I need some me time. I need to recharge. There's so much going on. It's overwhelming. And I just need to be by myself and to relax and to take the nap or to, just do some housework or just be with my dog or whatever it might be.
So we spend flat and rock.
And that's important. We need that time for ourselves. But then there's that time when we want to hide, right? That we just don't want to do anything because it is too much, but we want to avoid. We want to isolate, and that's what I want to distinguish. That's when we need to reach out for help because that's what brings us down. That's what causes that, depression to sink deeper and deeper in us. And we turn off our phone and we're avoiding things that are actually going to be really, really good for us. So there's the difference between the self-care and giving ourselves that time, allowing ourselves that time, giving ourselves permission to be alone because sometimes we're doing way too much and that's a whole other talk is setting boundaries and saying no to people. But we can talk about that on another show next year. But that's the good stuff. I'm talking about when I'm avoiding, when I'm isolating, when I'm purposely just hiding away.
There are people, and you can see them, they're alone in a crowded room. And then there are those who are alone, but they're not alone. They're by themselves, but they're not alone. That's what we're talking about, that ability to recognize. And Dr. Warden?
Yeah, no, I think Sutton described it really well. It's a different feeling for them. One is to recharge, and the other one is more of a depressive feeling, right, where you are isolating and pulling back to be by yourself. So I do think downtime is important, and saying no to things. I saw this, that we should pick, in the holidays, pick quality over quantity, which is a really nice way of thinking about it. It's a reframe as opposed to saying no to certain things. It's, picking and choosing where you spend your time. But I think planning downtime is important as well. So, like for me, I ride horses or I go for a run or dance, do a little dance at home. So, planning time for yourself can be really important as well, especially during the holidays.
Now, from that perspective, though, we look at social media. This time around, I actually took a digital holiday. I had one thing that I needed to do just to make sure that I could afford the holiday. But other than that, the phone, now I had contingency plans, so I could do that. I had resources. But there's someone else, because of our work, our personal lives, just our lifestyle, we're connected, we're tied in all the time.
We're bombarded by everyone's expectations of us and everyone's perfect happy Christmas all the time. I think that's a great point, that's really tough. So if someone is beginning to isolate, what we do is we go on social media and we look at how great everyone else's Christmas is, how happy everyone else is with their families. They don't take pictures of the fights. They don't take pictures of the stress. They don't take pictures of the turkey burning. You know what I mean? Like, it's important to keep that perspective in mind, and a digital detox is a great way. Step away from the phone, and if you are looking at social media, to remember, my favorite way of remembering is that they say don't compare your behind the scenes to their highlights reel, right? That's one picture of one moment that they set up.
I like that.
And remembering that there's so much more that goes into everything.
So
They're real people.
Don't compare your behind to their highlights. Oh, behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes to their highlights reel.
I'm just kidding.
Because we know everything that goes on for ourselves. We know the stress that goes into it. We know that that's the third turkey that she's tried to cook. I'm not great at cooking. So this is one of my stresses, But so we know all of our information, whereas on social media, all we see is the good times of other people, and a lot of those photos are set up.
Yeah.
Right? I have a lot of friends that post pictures at the beach when I know they're sitting next to me at work. So
90% of, or I think that's a little too high, but it's like 68% of people's posts are fabricated in some way. And there's so many studies to support that, and especially for our young people to really understand that, because those are the ones that are most affected, but we know that adults are being affected by that social media as well. Yeah. So, put away the phones.
Yeah.
The planning is so important, and planning around. I can only speak from a caregiver perspective, and planning around them and asking your loved one, what do you want? I mean, they're capable of telling you that, and allow them to say, I don't want to go. I don't want to go today, or I just want to go for an hour. Can you make sure that I get back from there that I'm there no longer than an hour? Things like that, and to have a plan in place. And if you're going to take a digital break, ensure that somebody else can pick up in case there's an emergency for you. So the planning is so crucial.
I think on that as well is when we're giving choice, give a couple different things. So we can do this, or we can do this or this. And especially with kids as well, because a lot of times they want to say no, because you might be in that I just want to be alone phase, that isolating phase. So it's like, okay, we can either go to this party, but if you don't want to do that, let's go to the beach, or let's take a long walk, or let's go do something charitable, or go visit somebody. So you give them a choice. So it's not like, if we don't do this, then you just get to lay in bed all day and do nothing.
But something that you were sharing, and I'm thinking, to the caregivers and, the healthcare workers. I'm thinking to the teachers and the other educators and others who are constantly involved throughout the year. They may need, 5 minutes or 5 hours. Take a reprieve, an opportunity. We could give them some time to not be alone, but to be rejuvenated. You guys, for instance, you're here, you're working, and there are all these things. It may not be a day at the beach, but it might be. It may be
or it might be an afternoon at the beach. That's some time, and that's good too. It doesn't have to be a long amount of time. Just to gather yourself, to get yourself together.
I think, for me, anyway, it's one of the other reasons I love Cayman is the opportunity to interact with people from all walks of life, from all parts of the world. It gives you a renewed appreciation for what we have here, the things that I recognize that we take for granted. I mean, I haven't been outside in the sun in forever. I haven't been fishing, I haven't been to the beach. It isn't because it isn't there, it's because I haven't made that a priority. As friends and family visit, you start to recognize that you have this at your doorstep. The running water, the electricity, the things that you've taken for granted because every morning it's right there, but you never avail yourself of it. This is a good time to remind yourself.
Yeah, no, I think especially as caregivers, it's really important to have that self-care in place. Actually, so I'm a big fan of little pearls of wisdom. It's actually one that Mr. Terry taught me, which was that you can't pour from an empty cup. So taking that time, especially as a caregiver, is super important. So it's important for each of us personally, but especially as a caregiver, to take that time for yourself so you are able to actually be there for that person. If we burn ourselves out, we become, not only are we not helpful to them, but we often become resentful, which is not helpful to anyone. So taking that time is really important.
I really like the idea of writing lists. So so many people say, well, there's nothing to do but go to bars and drink. I hear that almost daily. There's nothing to do in Cayman unless it involves going to the bar. So if I'm not drinking, then what am I supposed to do? And I encourage you to write a list of the things that you really do like. What are those things that you can do that are going to rejuvenate you? So when you're going to take that time alone to have that self-care, you can refer back to your little list in the notes section of your phone, which is what I do, and you can go, oh, I can do that. I can paint, or I can garden, or I could, sit and do nothing, or whatever it might be that actually makes you feel really good, because so often I hear there's nothing to do.
You can send your clients to Loud Silent Voices. We need volunteers.
Exactly. Just write a list of the charitable organizations.
Yeah. I like the idea of writing it down as well, though, because when we most need it, it's hardest to think of.
Oh, yeah.
That's when we snap to whatever old ways of coping were, which often weren't very helpful.
I think too. I mean, it's about perspective, and it's about being able to. If you're going to find that ground in that appreciative development, you need to start to be engaged, included. I mean, Sophie, as we look at Cayman, for instance, and seeing your pensive approach to things, we may move freely about the beaches and the communities. We may reflect on what's absent, but we reflect on what is obvious. The beach in the sunshine, the relative freedoms that we have, the abilities to, maybe do something that we didn't think were possible. For those who are listening, as they're looking at what this Christmas could be, what would you say to them that what it shouldn't be, or maybe what it should be?
What it should be? Oh, I would love to say that Christmas is not supposed to be about presents. It's supposed to be doing things that you like and spend time with the person that you like, and really appreciate those 3 days from work the most, and reload, as we said before, and I know there's always a pressure, and you should cook food for the whole day, for the evening, for people to come over to your house, but just maybe skip that, buy pizza instead, spend that time with the persons you want to hang out with. If it's family or friends, or new friends, or if you want to do some charity, do that instead of and give yourself some time.
Indeed. Yeah. Ms. Jen, if I may, sorry, Dr. Wood.
No, it's okay.
Ms. Jen, I was going to ask you, from that perspective, it's not the presence, but the presence of those who are present. Spending that time,
Clever.
That was fantastic.
Wow. I mean, it took him all day to come up with. No, just kidding. But I see why I like this job. But that's what we were about, right? Making the moment matters, and making those memories so that 30 years from now we can think about it and we can recall it fondly. That person who has that thing, it has no great material value, but it's sentimental.
No, and I think it's important to really figure out what you think is important, because sometimes that's not really clear. Maybe you don't really know because you don't really think about it, because you take things for granted. So for me, being here, I've really realized how much I appreciate my family at home, because being here, it's something very different from being in Sweden during Christmas. And all of a sudden I started to appreciate the snow, appreciate the cold, appreciate
the rain.
The rain, so I think it's very important to take some time for yourself and just trying to figure out what's important to you. What you want to spend.
Yeah, so it's like what they say, you don't, miss the water until the well runs dry, right? You can't, until it's, there's no sunshine, you don't realize how much you missed the, Is that the thing that we need to maybe step back and perhaps spend it from that perspective? Maybe those of us who live in Cayman, in this bubble, that everything is almost perfect, and everything is, given, handed. We don't see the challenges and the struggles. We hide it through our social media posts. We pretend that everything is great.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, I'm guilty of it as well. I know that all my friends kind of hate me for all my Facebook pictures that I've uploaded from the beautiful beaches here. But yeah, of course, that's a struggle. It's an issue. I think what Ms. Sutton talked about earlier, I think communication is key when it comes to this. So if you have a close friend that you can open up to and say, well, I'm going through this right now, even though, as we talked about earlier as well, even though you want to be alone, then maybe you can tell your friend that I want to be alone, but I'm not feeling very well. So maybe you can keep an eye for me. And that's a big step as well. Communicating even when you don't want to communicate.
Yeah. But then, Dr. Borden, does it come down then for us as a people, especially at this time, to be cognizant of our surroundings and the people and our family, friends, co-workers, neighbours and the like?
Yeah, you can always check in with them. If you notice someone's not their peppy self or something's a little different, it's fair to check in with them and see. They may be comfortable talking, they may not, and respecting that is important, but being supportive and non-judgmental. So just checking in genuinely and asking them what's going on and how's that working for you.
To add to that, excuse me.
Sorry. And as we get ready for Sutton Says, it is our mental health.
To add to that, as a friend, as a support, just go about your normal conversation with a person, right? Because so often, again, like we're talking about someone who's grieving loss and you don't know what to say to them, a lot of times a grieving person or a person maybe dealing with anxiety or depression, they want to hear about you. They don't want to maybe talk about their stuff, and they'll share what's going on, and that's so important, that vulnerability that we keep talking about on the show. But then you have a conversation back. There's no pressure on what you have to say back to them to support them. Talk about your life. Talk about what's going on. Acknowledge what they're saying, of course. Don't, skim over it like it's no big deal. But talk about what's really happening in your life, and that just makes a person feel included as well.
Right. Skim over it like it's no big deal, too, because we need to be mindful, too, that there are milestones and the person that is ill that they've never reached and they probably will never reach. So, they also feel, I don't know the word to put to that, but they also feel some sort of pressure that, I'm 34, I don't have a kid yet. I'm 34, I haven't finished college, so those things make them feel, yeah.
So I guess that's it, Dr. Wood.
Oh, no, it's a different point.
Go right ahead.
So I was just going to, I think that's really important to be mindful. And you can, through being in the moment, right, so being genuine in the moment, you can probably judge, from their reaction, how they're feeling and what's going on and adjusting. But I think a lot of the issues is the shoulds of the year. Right? And even a lot of the questions are, what should you do? How should you? There's no right or wrong way for anything, and I think that's really important.
Don't should on yourself.
Yes, my supervisor used to have that saying.
Don't should on yourself.
Yeah, but flexibility is what's going to be key for us as well as for anyone else who's, especially someone who's dealing with some kind of mental illness. That's what we teach in therapy, is ways of breaking out of a box or seeing things as black or white and being able to see different options. So I love that Sutton said, give them a couple options, because we don't see that when we're depressed or we're anxious. All we see is what we're worried about or sad about or angry about, any of the difficult emotions. So flexibility is super important. And a lot of what we've talked about is new traditions. A lot of times we're like, well, this is what we've always done, right? And so we have to have all of the food. We have to have presents. Christmas morning, we have to do this. But be flexible. Your family may change, especially after something like a divorce or a recent loss. There's different people there. There's different opportunities available. So it's okay to bring new traditions, like you might be going to the beach on Christmas morning. Or just going to look at the Christmas lights Christmas Eve instead of a massive dinner. Right. So being open to new traditions as well. And you can incorporate some of the older things for memory's sake. Like a lot of times with clients who have had recent loss, I will talk about a way of commemorating the person who's not there physically that year. But being open to new traditions, I think, is a big thing for getting through the holidays.
It's really looking at those old rules that we might have for ourselves and seeing that nobody is enforcing those except for us. So we have this amazing, this beautiful opportunity to create whatever we want, always. And that's a really big reminder that I think we all need.
Yeah. Right. I had to learn how to readjust my entire life around this mental illness diagnosis that had come into our lives, and I thought it was just me that had to do that as the parent within the household, but everybody had to do it. My brothers, my sister, my nieces, my nephews, my friends, and once they were willing to be a part of that support group for him and for us, then it just got a little easier. And I do have a great support group. I do have family and friends and my co-workers. I have 24 staff members, and I manage 24 staff members, and they are all super, super, super supportive. And you spend most of your time with them. You spend most of your time with your colleagues. So it's not everybody that you're going to spill your guts to, but you have one or two that you confide in with everything, and they have your back. That helps during the holidays as well.
Absolutely.
I think this is why we look at the holidays as a time to not just to reconnect, but to re-energize and become rejuvenated. And equally, maybe in the lyrics of Billy Joel, shades of grey. It's not black and white, but maybe shades of grey.
Or I like using all the colors in the crayon box. So having different colors. Shades of gray, I get too many jokes now. But I think a lot of it is going to be planning ahead as well. You know, so because new traditions don't just come to us. Having a plan for something, if you know that, like Christmas Eve was when you did something special with someone, having a plan for that time. If you know that someone that you're not comfortable dealing with is going to be there, have a plan for how to manage that person. A lot of times with clients, I'll work on either prepping for a difficult conversation with that person or an exit strategy, a way that they can comfortably leave the situation. So if it's going to be not drinking, how do you not drink? How do you tell someone you're not drinking? You know, what can you do when something is offered? And we'll actually practice that. So preparing and planning can be helpful.
Well, as we look at it, Dr. Boyd, I'm just thinking, you know, Christmas is, what, 2 days? You think about it? You know, shops will be open late. You know, people are going to be busy getting all the things from the ordering the Christmas beef.
People who are still suffering from expectations that are beyond reality.
And yet, I think, you know, as Sophie shared, maybe look at it from the perspective that even, you know, what is important, right, Ms. Hutton? Now, Jackie, as we close the discussion, start with you first. What's your pearls that you want to leave with us?
I just want to tell everybody supporting somebody with a mental illness to just include them. Include them. And that is, I think, the most meaningful for them. Include them understanding that they are going to have limitations. And when they say no, they can't do that, just understand that and respect that. But include them all the same, because they need to feel as if they're a part of the normal. But not their normal, but the normal that we have. They need to feel as if they're a part of that.
What's that?
Thank you so much for having me on the show. We keep talking about the planning. So my biggest word of wisdom that I'd like to leave everybody is to start planning now. Take out the calendar, look to see what's coming up. You know, really take the time to think about what's going on for you. I think we talk about like knowing yourself, you guys were talking about earlier, and plan what you're going to do. Write those lists of the different options that you have. Think about the parties you've been invited to and, you know, who you're going to say no to, what's going to be your plan for when you go to the party. And really, let's start thinking about that from right now, because it's coming fast. And
life comes at you fast.
Oh, yeah.
Jason?
I think for myself, it's to accept yourself and others where they're at. You know, it is such a difficult time for some. There is no shoulds, you know, it just is. You're going to experience a wide range of emotions. We wouldn't be human beings if we didn't. And you know, there's going to be times when you don't feel great, and that's okay. You know, it's okay not to be okay. You know, I love the ideas that were put out to ask people to check in on you and, you know, like plan for, you know, the events that might cause you stress or anxiety, and challenge yourself to walk through it anyway and take action no matter how you feel, but have the exit strategy if it gets too much. Be realistic with yourself and others. Anybody with a mental illness, I mean, if they could think their way out of it, they'd be out of it. So we can't just say, don't be sad, or you shouldn't be anxious, or you shouldn't be sad. What they really need is to know that they're okay where they're at.
It's something that respires this long, eh? Don't be sad. Now, before I ask Dr. Borden to close it out, perhaps invite the students, if you wish to share, Ms. Mandy, perhaps you.
Yeah, sure. I'm thinking about expectations and managing and dealing with those expectations, especially as someone who has to drop almost all my old traditions back home in Sweden. New traditions can be liberating, and don't be afraid to value new things and try new things for you.
Yeah, and be kind to yourself. Remember that your health is more important than a perfect Christmas.
Sure. And Miss Sophie, only if you wish. No? Well, Dr. Borden, as usual, fantastic job. Wonderful. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, everyone. This was an awesome show. I just want to say you're not alone. You know, there's so much help available here. If you've got a trusted friend or family member you can talk to, great. If not, reach out. Holidays are a stressful time for many, many people. There's a lot of services available here. All of our contact information will be on drboden.com. So you can reach out to us if you have questions, if you'd like to meet. Loud Silent Voices is a great support for families and family members and caregivers at HSA. Counseling Center, free services, 949-8789. They've got walk-ins most days. If you just feel like you really need to talk to someone, give them a call, and they'll let you know when you can meet with someone. And because suicide is something that's come up a lot recently as well, and can definitely come up during the holidays, know that the Georgetown Hospital HSA is always available. Or dial 911, and they will get you to a mental health provider there to do an assessment and see what they can do to support you. We also are fortunate to have the Crisis Center, which has their hotline that's available 24/7, because a lot of times stress and difficult situations don't come up during normal business hours, which is 943-2422. And they actually also now have a child line as well for children that's available 24/7 too. So help is available, and you're not alone, and you can do this. I wish everyone the best this holiday season.
All right, well, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
This is why we do it. To our listeners, pause, take a short break, but join us after. When we come back, we talk to our good friends over at UCCI.
King Sports Center takes pride in being more than just an ordinary gymnasium. For 14 years, their multi-purpose facility has been providing the community with a variety of sporting, recreational, and relaxation activities. King Sports Center has a bowling alley, lounge bar, multi-purpose rooms, powerhouse gym, rock climbing wall, bungee jumping, a 10,000 square foot rink, and so much more. For more information on the variety of services, call their friendly staff today at 946-5464 or email kings@candw.ky or visit www.kingsportscenter.com. King Sports Center, your one-stop shop for fitness, recreation, and relaxation.
Excuse me, I noticed you from afar.
Really? Me?
Well, not you. The KFC sandwich you're eating?
Oh, Zinger.
Sorry, I'm not trying to be funny.
No, it's called the Zinger Sandwich. Crunchy, juicy, 100% chicken breast, crisp lettuce, sweet mayo on a seeded bun with a little zing. KFC's chicken is not factory-breaded, frozen and refried like the Burger Boys. Customize your KFC Zinger and dip it in barbecue sauce.
Wow, now I'm starting to notice you too.
KFC, it's finger-licking good.
I don't have time to understand this whole social media thing. And I definitely don't have the in-house people to manage my social media advertising.
Relax. Yellow Media Group can help.
But I don't even know how to run ads on social media.
It's all right. Yellow Media Group delivers real results for social media advertising. Let our Facebook certified experts and over 50 years of advertising experience do the work for you.
That sounds wonderful. I'm too busy running my business.
Exactly. Let Yellow Media Group be your social media team. We'll create a custom plan specifically for your business so that you can focus on your business.
Perfect. How do I start?
Call 949-7027 or go to www.yellowmediagroup.com/Cayman Social. Yellow, we know social.
You need Fidelity Health. At Fidelity, they offer great coverage through a highly rated and trusted carrier, payments I can afford, and with no on-island deductible on all the plans they offer. Best of all, they offered my company 50% back on the first month's premium.
Make the easy switch to Fidelity today and get 50% cash back on your first month's premium until December 31st. Call 949-7822 to make your switch now.
Radio Cayman Super Jam Show, the #1 drive time entertainment show on your radio. Enjoy a mix of pop, hip-hop,
dancehall, urban gospel, Latin hits,
reggae, and soca. The Super Jam Show is fueled by the proud sponsorship of
Savannah Pharmacy, just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Is this thing working? Give me some sound over here.
Every Monday through Friday from 3 to 6 p.m. Radio Cayman Super Jam Show, the #1 drive time entertainment show for your radio, featuring Will Sinatra.
Now, sound is everything.
Enjoy a mix of pop, hip-hop, reggae, and calypso, and an entertainment trivia section. The Super Jam Show is fueled by the proud sponsorship of the Cayman Islands Football Association. SIFA, building a better future for Cayman football.
Give me the green light.
The Proud of Them Youth Recognition Program is accepting nominations. Now in its 10th round, the award recognizes 12 outstanding young people between the ages of 10 and 25 for their achievements in academics, careers, business, sports, culture, or community work. Nominate your choice for the prestigious Proud of Them Award by visiting www.gov.ky. Submissions must be received by Friday, December 7th. This message was brought to you by the Ministry of Education, Youth, Sports, Agriculture and Lands in partnership with the National Youth Commission.
A trip to New York City is the experience of a lifetime. Starting this December, Cayman Airways will be offering daily non-stop flights from Grand Cayman to New York City. That's right, Cayman Airways is going daily to New York City starting this December. Stroll through Central Park or take in the bright lights of Times Square. Enjoy a Broadway show or visit museums, the Empire State Building, and so much more. Whether you're visiting for business or pleasure, you'll fall in love with New York City. And daily non-stop flights from Grand Cayman aboard Cayman Airways starting this December. For details and to book, call Cayman Airways reservations at 949-2311. Contact a travel agent or visit CaymanAirways.com.
We are Radio Cayman, and this is how we wake you up in the morning. Praise time on Radio Cayman.
Sing your praise to the Lord. Come on, everybody, stand up and sing one more. Hallelujah, give your praise to the Lord. We are united in Jesus Christ. We are the soldiers of the Lamb.
Praise time.
Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
There's a meeting up in heaven. Roll call. He's a name in the name in the Lamb's book of life. Roll call, brother, sister. Roll call. If you don't stop shouting, if you don't stop dancing, we're going to put you out of our church.
Praise time.
Jesus in the morning, yeah.
Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
Your song flowed through my lips. Your work moved through my hands. Your thoughts stay on my mind. Live in me.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. And thank you so much for joining us. And as we get ready for our next discussion, as we talk to our good friends from UCCI, in particular, the current chairman of the Board of Governors, Mr. Anthony Rich, together with the Vice President and Provost, Dr. Livingston Smith. You know, it's going to be an opportunity to share with them and hear about some of the imminent plans relative to President Biden's imminent departure, together with hopefully maybe what is coming up going forward. And as I take this moment as they get sort of settled and so on, you know, you can see the Christmas spirit in the air. People are crossing one another, and even though they see each other sometimes every day or every week, they still pause and fellowship and extend their well wishes. So for those of you who are joining us online, you'll see Mr. Rich and Dr. Smith seated at the table. It's almost like the chairman's round table or the knights round table. And I want to say a special thanks. I'll get hopefully into it more in the week to come of those who hosted. But welcome, the Right Honourable Mr. Anthony Rich. Wait, not yet.
Not quite there yet, but
I like you say not yet.
Thank you, Sterling. Happy to be here.
Thanks, man. Liv, good to see you again, sir.
Thank you so much. Great to be here.
You know, if I hadn't planned, you know, to return today, and knowing that you would be the guest, and I hadn't returned, I would felt like I'm missing a lot. So, get a chance, you know, to talk about President Biden's farewell and the growth, aspirations, hopefully the opportunities that lie ahead. With the greatest of respect to all the chairmen of UCI, I think Ms. Berner, as a former educator, as a former sort of chairman of, president of the chamber, as a former, you know, parliamentarian, but equally, you know, as that person who started the government, I think that's right, an amazing lady in her own right, you know.
Absolutely.
And, Mr. Rich, I think all of to date would look at you and say, you know what, you're taking up the mantle and you're going to lead us forward in a great direction.
Absolutely. We've been through a number of different chairpersons over the years, and Ms. Burner certainly stands out, and President Bodden makes that very clear in terms of, those being in those early years when he started, very, on the one hand, challenging times, but also exciting times in terms of the very positive and lasting changes that were to come. So, off to a great start.
Indeed. And I say this recognizing sometimes, even though I intend to be as respectful, it may, affront to some people, but I think education is that one thing that we all value and recognize, or should, at the very least, many of us, whether we're a politician or a policymaker, whether we're a principal at school or a parent, we talk about it, the merits and it's being the great equalizer and all these things. But if we don't raise the bar in education and change the paradigm when it comes to teaching and learning, how can we move forward as a society and achieve this thing of nation building that we talk about, whether it's a small country as ours or whether it's a great nation that's trying to, maintain that quality of life? Dr. Smith?
Yes, you're totally right. Education has been described as the new wealth of nations. We know that there are many things that make for development, but the key thing is the mind of people. So the educated mind is a nation's most important resource. And certainly if one speaks about tertiary education, that's where the people come to get the highest level of education. UCCI has been at the cusp of that. You would have heard that President Bodden has spent 9 years at UCCI as president. He was there before that as a great lecturer. He came on to teach Caymanian society, which looks at all the different facets of Caymanian life, history, culture, and so on. But then he also became our president, and we can say that he was responsible, really, for the significant qualitative and quantitative expansion that we've seen at UCCI. And we're celebrating that this evening. And my chair is here. He will speak more about the program. But we want to excite persons, as we've been trying to do all along, to come out this evening at 6 o'clock so we can show our appreciation to one of the key persons who has really affected positively the educational landscape of these islands.
Absolutely. So as Dr. Liv said, we look forward to having the auditorium filled this evening. We've been on the radio and been making the rounds on radio and TV for a number of days now. And I can say to you that it's because we want to show our appreciation as a nation. But secondly, because we also want to spread the word. So even if you can't make it out today, you can understand certainly the impact and how proud we are of President Bodden, the very positive impact that he has had in terms of his stewardship of the university over the last 9 years. So if you don't mind me repeating it again before we actually get into any further questions, the event is taking place this evening at 6 p.m. at the Sir Vassal Johnson Hall at the University College. We intend to have people there before 6. We intend to start at 6. And I can say to you that we have a great lineup of actual speakers, people giving tributes to President Bodden. We have, of course, something from our performing arts section. And at the end of the event itself, we also are going to have refreshments. But what you certainly don't want to miss is the actual very special aspect of the celebration, or ceremony, I should say, where we actually award and recognize President Bodden as President Emeritus. That is going to be a very special part of the ceremony, not to be missed. And we encourage Cayman, and I must say to you, I've been very encouraged as I speak to people. I just spoke to a friend of mine in the parking lot, and they all know President Bodden, they all know the university, and they're passionate about what has been achieved under his stewardship. And I can say to you that if the response that I've seen, and not just anecdotally, but what we've seen in terms of RSVPs, holds up, we expect to have a fantastic turnout this evening and a great event. But I'm still encouraging those of you who if you're still undecided, come out this evening, come out and help us celebrate in a very strong way one of our finest Caymanians in terms of leadership, in terms of his impact on education. And of course, today we speak of his impact on education at the tertiary level, but President Bodden, I'm sure, will also share his story, I suspect, this evening as well, about his very humble beginnings many years ago in the primary education sphere and beyond. So I look forward to hearing more of his stories and I look forward to what will be a very, I'm sure, poignant and memorable farewell address. And I encourage Cayman, come out. You want to be a part of this.
And as you mentioned, his farewell address, he's going to be reflecting on his own life and contribution. And President Biden will be there even after the function ends officially. He'll be there milling around and meeting people, so you can come to be a part of that conversation even after the official function ends.
I'm sure there'll be a lot of pictures to be taken.
Oh, yes.
I'm not sure if he's into selfies, but I suspect there'll be a lot of those.
In fact, somebody called me today to say that she has a surprise for him.
Okay.
When the function ends, some gift and so on.
Let it carry the bag. You see your friends.
So,
but the thing is, though, we talk about giving flowers while the people can enjoy them, and I have immense, like many of us, respect for Mr. Borden, both as an academic, as a parliamentarian, but just as a person who has endeavored to sort of raise the bar of leadership, ethics, and integrity. Now, whether we subscribe to the dialogues of Plato, but many times, Dr. Liv, from the perspective in speaking to Mr. Borden, the notion that intellect and intelligence, to be able to have a conversation, to maybe look beyond the Beatitudes and perhaps get into some of the more salient points of academia, but just to be conscious of the society's culture and its values. Mr. Rich, we have benefited from his counsel many times.
Absolutely benefited from his wise counsel, and so have many Caymanian young men, because Dr. Liv can speak more intimately to the program. I touched on it this evening, in fact, in my presentation, but he implemented a program at the university called Men of Standard. And as I reflected, because I wasn't there when he created it, but I started my research, and as I looked at the foundational principles, and I reflect on his own stewardship. And President Biden himself is a man of stature, and someone who, of course, commands respect by his mere presence in whatever sphere you see him. And I can say to you that he exemplifies men of standard. He is himself a man of standard. And as I consider the many changes that he's brought about at the university, I believe one that he'll perhaps be remembered most for is for being the exemplar, as we say, and in terms of those things that he stands for, and of course does not stand for at the university, in terms of setting the example, setting the bar really high, and in particular with regards to men of standard, really finding ways to reach out to Cayman's young men, to not just encourage them in terms of their academic pursuits, but in terms of saying to them, this is the example that you must set as a man. This is what a Caymanian man must look like. This is what a Caymanian man must sound like. This is what a Caymanian man must stand for. Whether it's to do with education, whether it's to do with family, whether it's to do with career, and of course there are many topics as I look at the actual as I look at the curriculum for that program and saw the various speakers that came in. I saw Minister John Seymour, I saw Craig Merrin, I saw a few others that were invited to come in and share many perspectives.
In line with his thrust for gender equality, he also had one called Women of Standard.
Okay. There you go. So I focused on the men because that was the first one. But I can say to you, he is the ultimate standard bearer in terms of the level of discipline and rigor that he has brought about, not just in terms of the academic side of things, but in terms of how our young men and women should live their lives.
But Mr. Rich, you're right too, and the notion that Mr. Borden always said, well, you lead by example. Maybe many men, because of the influence of their mothers, their sisters, their wives, the other women in their lives, may be able to be somewhat empathetic, may be able to have some sort of sensitivity, but a man should understand perhaps easier how a man thinks he feels than he could how a woman thinks he feels. And from that perspective, when Mr. Borden shares that, for instance, that Men of Standard program that he has, he's asking men, given the statistics globally, but certainly within North America, that the absence of the father, the absence of a positive male, sort of model within that life of the son or the child, the boy in particular, we see all of these ill effects, lack of education excellence, perhaps the high incarceration rates, all these things. You got to lead by example, and I think we have to commend him for that.
But it also reflects his belief that the university should not only be speaking to the mind, to the intellect. It must, of course, do that, but it also has to do with other things about a person. What about your ethical foundation, your social skills, other things that make you really into a proper human being? All of those are important.
If I may ask, and I'm not. And I say this again, maybe one day I'll get to the point where I change my mind, but 30 years ago or more, a lady I respect greatly. We were just having a conversation, and she was asking, and my response was, well, for me, an honor would be plant a mango tree, don't erect a statue. And not just a mango tree, but a sugar mango tree.
Right.
Because that was me. It provided sustenance and shade.
Right.
But as I reflect on that, and I think, and I still stand by that, for me, it's important for our society, for Cayman in particular, to be able to genuinely, legitimately point to individuals and say, there goes a man of standard. There goes somebody that exemplifies certain things, and with all these other little things that we hear and know and say, and yet we celebrate. A book that I'm rereading that I would commend almost to anyone, Robert Reek, as he puts it, the common good. The notion that we start to reward bad behavior because, it results in success. We punish the others, right? Mr. Borden stood for the common good.
Definitely, but I want to also focus, if we can, some more on Mr. Borden as a public thinker, intellectual. Sometimes enough emphasis is not placed on those persons who dedicate time to think through issues and to write. All right, and he has done that emphatically. He has written many books about Cayman. I keep saying it. The person who has written the most about Cayman. We're talking about real great stuff, covering a range of issues in politics and history and education and poetry and so on. And so the role of the thinker, the intellectual, is critical for societal development. That person who stays aside and critiques and says, here's what you are, but you can possibly become something else.
But I think it reminds us that, we don't want a Pyrrhic victory. Right. And, as chairman of the Board of Governors, Mr. Rich, as we move forward and we look to the division with respect, I look at things sometimes and I don't always subscribe to this notion that it's easy to ask forgiveness and permission, but we need to take up Mr. Borden's example and recognize that sometimes we got to push the envelope. We got to bring our leadership, political or economic or religious leadership, to the point where either they lead, follow, or get out of the way. Right? The task ahead, so.
Task ahead. Yeah, and it's a task ahead not just for the Board of Governors, but of course for the new president.
Yes, sir.
And of course the faculty and staff at the institution. And his example is a strong one, as we've said. And I can say to you that one of the challenges that I have shared with him on a very personal level, and of course with Dr. Liv and others in the senior management team, is really, as we talk about that example, that very strong set of very personal attributes that he brings to the role. I'm looking around. It's not an easy answer necessarily for, who is going to take up, who is going to be not so much the new President Borden, but who is going to ensure that none of these things that we think are good and lasting and ought to be lasting in terms of changes to the university, who are those persons going to be? And I can say to you that it's a challenge, as I say, for the new president, one that I certainly have been putting to her. And she has heard firsthand, too, from President Borden in terms of some of his stories he's already shared. And Dr. Liv knows how strongly I feel about some of these things. And it will be, as it were, one of the main focus areas for the Board of Governors, because what we shall not allow to happen is for us to having reached the stage to now allow for the university on these particular things that we're celebrating to now start to slip. So it's really, really important in terms of the way forward that we not only celebrate them, but that we find and put in place the management structure and the governance structure to ensure that we build on them. And that's vital as far as I'm concerned, because were we to fail on this front, I can say to you that when I look at the statistics and I look at the university over the last 9 years, we look at improvements and solid improvements in terms of enrollment being up, in terms of graduation rates being up, and of course on the overall in terms of academic outcomes, we can see clear signs of improvement across the spectrum in terms of new programs, a growing university, more graduates, better academic outcomes. So we're going in the right direction, and what we can't allow to happen now is for us to start to, as it were, regress and to slip. And yes, we'll be adding to that, adding new programs, trying to do more, trying to grow the university, but certainly in terms of those disciplines that have brought us to this point, let's keep those, let's build on them.
I say, who's going to fill their shoes? Well,
I mean, it's clear that the university has been preparing for this eventuality. We have a new president coming in. We have persons there who have been, prepared and so on to continue this vibrant legacy. Certainly, Mr. Borden is going to be President Emeritus. Doesn't mean that he leaves us. He'll be. He belongs to UCCI, really. So so he'll be there too. But the board chair mentioned some of the achievements. I just want to possibly identify them in some way. For example, we talk about accreditation, a critical thing. The thrust towards more of that has really taken off on his leadership. Right. We're talking about just last Thursday we launched the prior learning assessment program, which saw a significant turnout of adults who want to go back to school, who want to fast track their education, utilizing the fact that they have experience which can be quantified and assessed towards college level credits. The nursing program is a huge success. We just started a social work program at UCCI. The emphasis on STEM is important, and Mr. Borden again understood the connectivity of knowledge, that the sciences are crucial, but so are the arts, and that they can be combined. They go together to create the kind of person, the kind of graduate we want from the university. I mentioned Miller Standard and so on. He also got started honorary doctorates and honors convocation and things like that.
All right. Well, when we come back, let's talk more about it, because I think it's important for us to recognize that in celebrating, his accomplishments and his tenure, we also look into the future. We're starting to value and recognize education, and maybe just embrace that new paradigm with respect to teaching and learning from the tertiary, as well as those formative years. Please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman. Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
A tipster has been awarded by RCIPS. According to police in November, an anonymous tipster called 800-TIPS, that's 800-8477, to convey information that led to the arrest and criminal charges against a suspect wanted by local police. The tipster was awarded a sum of over $300,000, which represents the largest payout to date from Cayman Crime Stoppers. This announcement follows a recent decision by the organization to increase their payout limits for certain crimes from $1,000 to $5,000 max. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines and news elsewhere. Authorities in the Spanish city of Cadiz have come up with a plan for their booming pigeon population, relocating some 5,000 birds. The city is plagued by thousands of birds and their associated waste, but officials did not want to poison them. Instead, the plan is to capture thousands of pigeons and relocate them hundreds of miles away in a different region, and hope they do not return. A 7-year-old boy who reviews toys has been revealed as YouTube's highest-earning star, raking in $22 million. The estimate by Forbes magazine found that Ryan of Ryan Toys Review pipped Jake Paul by $500,000 for the 12 months to June. Videos are posted most days, and one promoting a blue giant mystery egg bearing Ryan's face has had more than 1 million views since Sunday. And hundreds of people from Central American states who joined the human caravans traveling towards the United States have been helped home after asking for assistance, the International Organization for Migration said on Friday. A protection officer said that many migrants had learned about the caravans via social media and television reports and had not understood what was involved in the trek to the U.S. border. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands. What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Cayman National would like to invite you to their 16th annual Home for the Christmas event, Tuesday, December 4th at 6 p.m. at their Elgin Avenue location. Celebrate the meaning of Christmas and ring in the holiday season with charity donations and festive performances by UCCI Pandemics, the Cayman Arts Festival, and Dream Chasers Cayman. Light refreshments will be served. Join Cayman National as they bring the community together this December 4th at 6 p.m. for the Home for the Christmas event.
South Coast Bar and Grill up in Breakers, man, that is the place for traditional Cayman cuisine. Oh, you will love the taste. At South Coast Bar and Grill, we got conch and lobster and turtle stew. And every Sunday, come out with your family for the barbecue.
South Coast Bar and Grill by the seaside, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. daily, lunch and dinner. Call us at 947-2517.
For Cayman and cuisine, the talk today is South Coast Bar and Grill.
Stay connected and enjoy your favorite holiday moments with Flow. Make Christmas memories great with the best phones at amazing holiday prices. Get the Samsung Galaxy A8 from $43.25 a month or the S9 from $70.75 a month from Flow. Sign up for Flow Quad Play to share up to 50 gigs of data and 5,000 calling minutes. It's amazing value and great gifts for loved ones or yourself. Plus, plenty of chances to win Flow holiday prizes. So make it Flow for everything mobile this Christmas. Visit discoverflow.ky for more. Terms and conditions apply.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thank you for joining us in a few more minutes. And I'm honored not only, for our guests and spending their time, but the fact that we're talking about education, but we also get a chance to, hopefully, to some extent, as small as it is in some facets, to say thanks to his leadership, but as a public to start to recognize how important education is. And not just at the tertiary level, those initial formative years, those things that we do with our children while they're at home before they may go into preschool or whatever it is that we call it, daycare. As the chairman of the Board of Governors of UCCI, Mr. Anthony Rich, together with the Vice President Provost, Dr. Livingston Smith, this evening, the public, who's invited? All in Sunday, even West Bayers?
Even West Bayers. Check the entire country is invited. Mr. Borden is really an important figure in society, and so we are inviting everybody. It doesn't matter if West Bay, Borden, the entire country can come and enjoy it. Yes. But as we mentioned about education, everything we know now speaks to the young person doing well, where the person has a conducive environment. So what is it like at home? It's very important. Are there books there? Are you encouraging that? Because when parents are themselves involved in their child's educational life, it makes a big difference. Of course, the quality of teachers, crucial. All right? So all of those things come into play. And at the tertiary level at UCCI, we're looking at our teaching methodologies. We're looking at our infrastructure. We have put in reinforcement centers, for example, for Spanish and English and math and the sciences, so persons who are weak can go to those places and sit down with individuals to catch up. All right? We are insisting that when they leave university, they should be able to speak the language and write the language. All of those things are important. The critical thinking skills are crucial, and these are some of the things that we celebrate today as we look back at 9 years of leadership of President Borden. All right. So again, we are just inviting persons to come by the UCCI this evening at 6 o'clock to be a part of this legacy that we are celebrating.
Absolutely. I believe that in terms of the actual presentations that we'll hear, and of course President Borden's own farewell address, it's also an opportunity for everyone here in Cayman to actually learn about the very rich history that University College has had, and in particular the last 9 years and the last 9 years of significant achievements that we're celebrating. I too join Dr. Liv in saying too that in terms of the approach we take to comprehensive education at the university, that they are to all be commended for continuing to, as it were, push the boundaries of education in terms of tools and techniques, and also investing in themselves as faculty and staff to make sure that their skills are, as it were, remain on the cutting edge and they're not left behind. So I believe that in terms of what we have today as a university college, he can speak to the number of professors there with PhDs, and I think
three quarters
of PhDs,
with PhDs, and 10 are currently in program.
Absolutely. So the investment will absolutely continue, and they themselves have paid a significant price, as it were, in terms of coming here not just with already in some cases their terminal degrees, but making the continued investment by way of professional development and through other opportunities that they've availed themselves of as well. So very proud of the university and its accomplishments, but there's always more to be done. And I'm looking forward to the next chapter as we move forward with what we're calling our 2018 to 2023 strategic plan, and something that we hope to unveil publicly and be able to say to the public, this is what we can expect to see over the next year, 2, 3, 4, 5, and be able to hopefully come back here with some great stories from time to time as well with regards to our accomplishments.
Well, I can say to you without fair contradiction, whether I'm facilitating as host or anybody else, Radio Cayman and Talk Today in particular, always available to UCCI. You can talk about the program. You can talk about an appeal for whatever. If we can be a partner, as long as we continue raising the bar when it comes to the excellence in education. Now, I know that much has to still transpire for the evening to go off as you want. I don't want to impose further, but Dr. Liv, share with us as you wish.
Yes, Dwayne, the university offers a range of programs to everybody. What we say is that it's a one-stop university. You want to do TVET courses, certificate courses. You want to do short, professional courses. You want to do an associate degree, a bachelor degree, master's program. We have it all there. And we want to entice persons to come and be a part of what we're doing. There's no reason really why anybody who lives in Cayman should not have tertiary education. We have persons who start at different levels and move up in the ranks. We have a civil service college there too. So the new president, when she comes, is going to continue this tradition of excellence that we have been talking about, I'm sure.
Well, I hope that the public embraces it, be its best champion and hopefully a partner.
Absolutely. We have a very rich history, and I'm not sure if she acknowledged it, but one of our alumni just left the show earlier on.
Yes, definitely.
Right? And we have so many others that we can celebrate in terms of those persons who have been through UCCI, very proud of UCCI, and have continued to do well through additional studies in most cases. I'm going to close by just reminding people to come out this evening and join us in this celebration. It's really something that you want to be a part of. President Bodden would love to have you there, and certainly as a board of governors, we'd be absolutely delighted to have a full auditorium. I can remind you that in terms of the actual presentations, they're going to be rich, and I think you have much to learn about the university's past. President Bodden himself has a very strong farewell message, I believe, to deliver. I'm looking forward to it. We, of course, like I said, have a very special aspect to the ceremony as we go through that very I wouldn't want to say somber Dr. Smith, but that aspect of actually delivering and presenting him with as President Emeritus, and I know that is something that we absolutely remember for a very long time. And then, of course, at the very end, refreshments and a chance to mingle, a chance to speak to President Bodden, take a few pictures, reflect, and I think for some it'll be a very touching and moving ceremony, but I think it's also one of celebration for us across the country. And if you can't make it, I suspect that most of you will be there in thought, and hopefully we have benefited over the years from many people who have prayed for the university and have wished us well and have contributed in some small way, and we thank you all.
Well, I trust the evening will be, as you say, a resounding success, and as a public we start to, not only demand and champion excellence in education from the primary through the tertiary, but recognize that lifelong pursuit of knowledge can lead to great happiness, not just wealth financially, but more importantly, that personal satisfaction.
Absolutely.
All right, gents, thank you very much.
And thank
you for having us.
Thank you so much for having us.
Always a pleasure, and please always accept our invitation to join us as you have in the past, as we move forward under the auspices of the new chairman to come forward. All right?
Okay.
All right. We'll pause and take a short break. When we come back, Why don't we have some open line? I mean, I haven't sat in this chair for a while. I don't know if I remember how to do that. Well, guide me. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
You remember the sale at Vamp Motors?
Yeah, the Your Sale, Your Choice, the one where you can get cash back or can put the savings to extend the warranty or upgrade features?
Yes, it's still going on, but now you can get $8,000 off a new Ford Ranger truck. $8,000, you know?
You for real?
Come see for yourself. While they still have so much to choose from, save big during Your Sale, Your Choice at Vamp Motors. With almost every vehicle on sale, you decide whether to get your dream ride at its lowest price. Take cash back, add years to the warranty or service plan. Choose an add-on or mix your options. Your sale, your choice, because you know what you need, and Vamp Motors will help you drive it home. Vamp Motors on Walkers Road.
Hopscotch Entertainment presents tribute to two of the island's greatest bands, Memory of Justice and Humble and the Meek, featuring special guest Freddie Jackson. Alongside special guest Naomi Cohen. This December 7th, 8 p.m. sharp at the Lion Center. Admission is free. Admission is totally free. Featuring special guests Rex and Impulse Band, Lammy Seymour, Edward Solomon, Regeneration Band, Molly and Brian, Gerald Rankin, Dexter Bodden, and Fire Squad. Donations are accepted. Sponsored by the Ministry of Culture, Miracle Brokers, Digicel, Radio Cayman, The Lobster Pot, JN Money Transfer, and the Cayman Islands Music Association. Freddie Jackson, live in concert, Friday, December 7th at the Lion Center.
You are my lady. This is Cayman Up Close, a weekly special feature from Radio Cayman News.
I'm Shanda Gallego.
Shanda Gallego goes behind the scenes with Cayman's newsmakers, artists, and emerging talent to get their unique and personal experience, their real stories.
This week, we turn the spotlight.
Sundays at noon, 6:10 p.m. and 10:10 p.m. and always online at radiocayman.gov.ky. Tune in for Cayman Up Close.
This weekend,
country classics.
Well, I was born to coal miner's daughter.
On the road again. They're gonna put me in the movies.
Papa Top again.
Out in the West Texas town of El Paso. Because you're mine, I walk the line. Well, I love
country classics.
Young love, first love.
You never count your money when you're sitting at the table.
if you enjoy classic country music, come hang out with Radio Cayman this Saturday, 3:30 to 6 p.m.
in the Mississippi cotton picking Delta town.
This Saturday afternoon, following American Country Countdown, 3:30 to 6 on Radio Cayman.
Just walk on by. Wait on the corner.
Country classics.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thank you for joining us. And for the remaining, 15 minutes or so, there'll be some open line. If you feel inclined, you wish to share your thoughts with us, hey, go right ahead. 949-8037 or toll free 1-800-534-8255. We have a WhatsApp. And what's that number again, Ms. Susan? 925-3261? Yeah, she said, look at that, you remembered it. I can almost say it in my mind. It's going to be so open line. And as we extend on behalf of UCCI the invitation to join us this evening at the Sir Vassar Johnson Hall, please do so. Well, let's go to our phones. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hi, how are you?
Very well, thank you.
All right.
I just have a question for Cayman Airways.
Sure.
I'd like to know, when is the first flight out of here on the 737 MAX? And when will the flight be and to where? I've just tried calling 2311 and nobody has an answer for me. So maybe you could get them to answer. Thank you so much. Hope you had a great vacation.
Well, thank you. I did indeed. And making a note of the question that you're asking, I saw where they took delivery of the new plane. And
I was there. I was there crying. So proud. But I need somebody to answer me that knows when will the first flight from Cayman be on that jet to where? Not to wait for Denver, before.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you too. Thank you too. And thanks so much. And I believe, as the caller is sharing, yes, we know that Cayman Airways, even before, I guess it just speaks to the prowess of their marketing department. They're going to be starting a route to Denver. I think that's mid-March next year. They were having some sort of early sales. I didn't follow up, didn't ask to see how that went, but presumably, it's a popular destination and certainly gives many people access. Now, again, whether it's UCCI in education, whether it's Cayman Airways in aviation, are we getting to a point in society where we're allowing the people at the helm not only the autonomy but the authority to do the things that make the entity a success, not just a financial success where you look at end of the day and you see that they're making more money than they're spending, but there's success in other ways. If it's education, it's the safety and security and sort of confidence and abilities of the student. If it's Cayman Airways, as the caller shared, that again, safety is of paramount importance, but there's also that sense that they're competitive. Well, let's go to our phones. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Welcome, Mr. Sterling. You back?
Yes, Mom. How are you?
I'm fine. You didn't hide us for the last month of the hurricane, eh? But we got you back.
Well, thanks for welcoming me back.
Yeah, man. Well missed. Well, the show went on. That's all that matters, but you were well missed.
Well, I appreciate that people, is on, what's the song says? Out of sight but not out of mind, but sometimes you're gone but not forgotten, but forgotten but not gone.
Exactly, yeah, you got it. So, come back to rally up for the Christmas, huh?
Mm-hmm.
When you gonna have the proper ribbon on to the program?
I have not committed a schedule to my mind. But they will be coming on. We usually, I think every year to date, have reached out. You're talking, with the folks at the National Drug Council and their proper ribbon pledge. So we are very grateful to the opportunity to help them not only talk about their programming, but to invite the community's participation and for us to share the importance of not just celebrating, but to do so, safely.
Mm-hmm. So, just wondering, I guess they probably come in down around the end of the month for the new year, huh?
Is there something in particular that you would want to ensure that we address when they come on?
No more than the regular, and knowing now that you can buy liquor on a Sunday now was bad enough that it was served in a hotel. And now we have it on Sundays, like from 1 till some places 1 to 6, some places 1 to 7. So, coming out and doing this purple ribbon and talking about being with safetyness and taking a bus and calling a taxi and doing this and doing that. I am not here to promote no liquor. And I feel that we've even got more now to look at when it comes to having liquor on a Sunday sold on every liquor store practically in the Cayman Islands. And it is very, very hard.
But I hear you. But is that something that we, as a populace, not only the voters, but the voters in particular, have failed to sort of share with our policymakers or politicians with respect to what we want to see reflected in our society, or have the politicians implemented and amended those those laws because we've now said, hey, we want to have the sale of liquor 24/7, 7 days a week. I mean, which one is it?
Which one
Mm-hmm.
I get concerned shouldn't have a period. But then again, for me to say I'm that one person, you know. But it was bad enough when we just had it at our liquor stores from Monday to Saturday, and now they're going and add the Sunday in. You know, I really think that that's very, really, really, really heartbreaking to the fact that it just sending more signals out there to our younger people and make them even easier access because. I mean, I don't think these people ask for an idea when you go to purchase this liquor during the week or thing on a Sunday, you know?
If I may ask of you, right? If I may ask of you, I know over the years, many people have shared that, well, we are a tourist destination, so as a result, we need to make sure that, for instance, the hours of entertainment has to extend into 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 o'clock, whatever time it is in the mornings. Whether it's Saturday or Sunday, whether it's a public holiday or it's a Monday holiday, doesn't matter. Whether it's a sale of alcohol or the opening hours and the like, because we are a tourist destination, so we need to cater. Now, I'm aware that some people very consciously and deliberately have traveled to other tourist destinations, whether in North America or other places, and they have found the exact opposite, that even during the high season, that there are still restrictions on certain things and limitations on sort of opening hours. Are we being deceived or are we just being greedy?
Not greedy.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I was watching the news the other day, and Canada now is going to be selling it until 11 o'clock at night, and they had people questioning people about it, and some people are not for it.
Right.
Some people are not for it, but then again, it's going to still happen. And yes, we are a tourist destination, and America's biggest problem is alcohol. And here we are, as a small country, we becoming the smallest population with alcohol. You can walk in every corner in Cayman and get alcohol. So who are we catering to? Really the visitors or our own locals as well too? Because you got guys up and up at the liquor store during the daytime in those big old trucks or whatever they may be driving from time to time. When I see them myself personally going into the liquor store, coming up with a pop open beer, and drinking it, and a 6-pack in their hand, going into the truck and drive the truck. I mean,
but is that not speaking to an ethos in a society where we have somewhere down the road said to our people that that's acceptable? I mean, should we not look at who we are and what we're doing and get to a perspective where if it's drinking and driving, or if it's excessive drink or excessive food, or inattention to our families, that maybe as a society we start to revalue and reevaluate what's important?
We're not looking at it, and we just got it just wide open. There's practical restrictions to a certain extent of how we should purchase liquor and when should
right.
I don't expect that to happen to a degree, but we need to put some stop to it to a certain degree, because if you can go Monday to Saturday and purchase liquor and now freely on a Sunday, it was bad enough that the hotels are doing it, and the majority of people who are drinking on a Sunday in the hotels, they're practically out there visiting the hotel, and you can find a few locals going and eat and have a drink and come back out and, whatever. So we were catering more to the visitors inside the hotel, but now it's wide open. I mean, when I walk on a Sunday at the airport and I'm driving the 7 Mile, and I see the mother cars parked off now in the liquor stores, yards, I'm like, whoa.
Mm-hmm. Well, yes, ma'am.
Before we go, if we can go with the liquor on a Sunday now, when are we going to open the good stores on a Sunday? When are they going to open? I'll leave to that question.
Good question. Hey, thanks, Stu. And let's take a couple more calls. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Hello, good afternoon, Sterling.
Hey, how are you, man?
Man, good. The season now, right? I don't be a Grinch this season, right?
Uh-huh.
But I'll be skeptical and primitive, like I say today, right? Just a moment now, Sterling.
Of course.
Differences now, right? There's a big uproar about the carrier, right? One arrived Friday evening, right? And 3 more on down the pipeline. And people came on, right? They have a tendency, right? To the beat now, always criticizing. And the same as a park up at the airport now. Clapping the hands or whatever, doing it. Or even by the hanger.
Mm.
You You see what I'm saying, right?
Right.
That was in the same ones in the future, go board of that same flight. You feel me? So the whole point I try to love Sterling. In a future project, right, in the past, I see people criticize it time and time again, right? And when it fulfilled now, they're the same ones go there. So if they realize do you around the corner, we're lucky to get past with you. Right? We give thanks to that. You know?
Right.
All I see now is Sterling, the carrier, right? I support the carrier. Right? Support it. You know, and the local airline is a different entity, but support it.
Right.
I have done the runway to short airstrip. Right? Like I said, time and time again, you should put up East End. But now the question. All right? So I got my contribution today.
Thank you for making it, man. Looking forward to some more. All right. Let's take one more. Hey, good afternoon. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon, Mr. Sterling. How are you?
Very blessed. How about yourself?
I'm okay.
All right.
I just wanted to encourage, just lately I've just sort of noticed, including for personal reasons, a lot of Caymanians passing away. And I just, some through age and some through ill health, and, you know, I just want to encourage everyone who has a part of Cayman's past to just, I mean, everybody would say they have a part of Cayman's past, but, you know, tell your story. I don't know if I know once upon a time, I think Mr. Loxley, they used to, you know, go out and do interviews with people in the community and whatnot, and I want to encourage that if people to either pen their own or have someone record it for themselves, or just before it's all forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
And fortunately, my mom had been one of the individuals interviewed with the National Archives, and I was not actually aware of this until recently. And because of that, there were so many parts of not only her life but Cayman's history that is interwoven in her story. And I think it's important that, you know, all the onus cannot be left on the schools. There's only so much that a classroom can do. Families need to learn to communicate again and speak together and find out, what did their grandparents do? What did their great-grandparents do? Who were they? I mean, sometimes people don't do a family tree unless it's a school project.
True.
Find out because, I mean, it's your family, and knowledge is power, and education is key. So if I think there's a saying that you something about you can't know where you're going, you can't get where you're going unless you know you've been. I don't really know how it goes, but to that regard, and just encourage. I mean, even if it doesn't mean you have to go to the National Archives, but I mean now everybody has voice recorders on their phone, or God forbid, pen and paper, and just make. I think it was. I don't know if it was Miss Lassie that used to say her jottings or her drawings or her
markings,
her markings, and sometimes like you can find things in your family Bible. I mean, I found notes and stuff, and cards, different little things tucked into my mom's Bible, and also so these tangible things are not to be forgotten. And even though some people say, the cards get thrown away, some people don't throw away their cards, and just, tell your family your story. Tell your grandchildren your story. Tell someone your story.
As I listen to you, especially now at Christmas, when some will celebrate and some will want to celebrate, and whether the loss is recent or whether it's been decades, you're going to miss that person. And as you share, I'm thinking, you don't know what you had until it's gone, right?
To your program earlier with the individuals you had on, and it was, quite appropriate for me right now. And it's just that it will always be hurtful, but when you know the life that someone's lived and when you can understand, it makes your problem seem small. Like, we might be killing one random mosquito. I guess the mosquito thing worked because you hardly feel them. When my grandmother, I mean, they couldn't even go outside for the, they'd probably be fly away, be picked up by the mosquitoes, and we have such a rich history, and people always, I remember people always saying, oh, what's your culture, and the different things like that, and, we need to know it. We need to know it, and the onus is on individual families.
Well, if we don't tell our story and tell it accurately and objectively and as impartially and respectfully, then how do we expect other people to embrace it if we ourselves are unwilling to respect it? You are an incredible lady, and not just with insight and intellect, but as someone with great integrity. So I hope that we get a benefit more from your contribution.
Oh, I hear you now. Okay then. All right.
You look out for a call from me, all right? Anything finally you want to share with us as we close out?
No.
All right.
All. I just,
a blessings to you,
love Cayman, and just, keep our history alive.
There you go, man. There you go. And you inspire many of us, so, be encouraged. All right?
Thank you. Okay.
All right. Talk to you soon. Listen, it's important when we do what we do because we love it, because we can, and because we want to. And sometimes it is challenging because we recognize that even though we're saying what is truthful and right, maybe those who are listening don't want to hear because it may rub them the wrong way. Doesn't deny that it's truthful, but if we can say it with respect and love, maybe it'll be more palatable. End of the day, if we don't stand in the gap and consider the greater good and do it for, the nation and its legacy, if we're selfish, self-seeking, self-serving, and insensitive, then when we're pointing fingers, are we willing to be accountable and responsible for what we're doing? Hey, thank you very, very much for being a part of today's talk today. Come back tomorrow for more right after the midday news and midday meditation. I missed, when I wasn't here, but I also greatly valued and respected the opportunity, the privilege, not just having a job and the health to do it, but the opportunity to be away and to engage in other things. Makes you mindful, makes you respectful, makes you appreciative, makes you value what you have. And like the caller just shared, if you don't think Cayman is a great place or has a lot of good things, think again, as Luigi would share. But if you believe that we can rest on our laurels and don't need to continue to serve and to sacrifice and to excel, well, think again as well, because together we can make it a much, much, much better place. Let's see what we can do together. Hey, until tomorrow, be blessed.
Shaken yet standing firm. This is Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.